Up with this. The fact that we have families who are using public transportation day in and day out. Our young people are about to return to school, and to have families on trains and buses and can't have a reasonable, sensible, comfortable ride because someone is smoking, right? This is unacceptable. As a city, we're better than this. And so there has to be a deeper level of accountability. We cannot have visitors coming through O'Hare and being met with smoking and even other acts of violence. Same thing goes for our most vulnerable population.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Woke Democrat Mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Did he just break federal law? We're going to be talking about that today on Chat With Me, Linda B. All right, Warriors, go ahead and give me that thumbs up. It really helps my videos reach out farther into YouTube. Comment, share, subscribe to my channel, select all notifications, stick around to the end. Now let's get into it. Now, I've done a few videos on the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Yes, another Democrat. These people can't seem to catch a break. And you're not going to catch one until you know how to vote correctly. Okay, so make sure that you flip Chicago red. That's just my opinion. That's what you all need to do. Now, Brandon Johnson, he's saying a lot of things about no smoking on the CTA. We're going to go over that. And William Kelly and another reporter asked him some very poignant questions. Let's watch.
Fed up with this. The fact that we have families who are using public transportation day in and day out. Our young people are about to return to school, and to have families on trains and buses and can't have a reasonable, sensible, comfortable ride because someone is smoking, right? This is unacceptable. As a city, we're better than this. And so there has to be a deeper level of accountability. We cannot have visitors coming through O'Hare and being met with smoking and even other acts of violence. Same thing goes for our most vulnerable population and those who rely upon public transportation. What this executive order is directing is for the CDPH, DFSS to provide additional support on our trains, in particular, to be able to respond to those who are struggling with their mental health, those who are unhoused, but also to the point that you were making is to find other and more effective ways at enforcement. I believe we issued over 6,500, 6,400 tickets. There has to be other ways in which we can enforce. Of course, PSA announcements continue to educate people, but also working with the police department to ensure that we are using the full force of government to be able to crack down on these smokers. And then, of course, the big thing is my intergovernmental affairs team is going to be working with our legislators in Springfield to secure more funding and resources. Look, I'm getting calls from individuals who want to use the transportation system more. They see the investments that we're making. They're experiencing, faster, more reliable. So we finally get people to get back on our public transportation system, and then they can't have a pleasant ride because someone wants to smoke. It's unconscionable, it's unthinkable, and I've had enough of this.
There are a lot of other things that will cause a ride on the CTA system to be very unpleasurable, like violence. He mentioned violence. Ooh, are you taking care of that? I don't think you're doing that if you're not going to work with the federal government to remove illegals who are violent criminals off the streets of Chicago. Ivory Smith suffered a tragic fate under your mayorship, Mayor Brandon Johnson, you demon rat of Chicago. So you're concerned about smoking. And you know what? I can't fault him for that because I don't like cigarette smoke. I'm not condemning people who smoke. I just don't like it. But in any event, there are other things he needs to be doing. There are bigger fish to fry. There are a lot of problems. Okay. Violent criminals, some of them illegals. And then, the city is in over $1 billion deficit. Now, he wants to raise taxes on the wealthy, and he was asked about that. Brandon Johnson, I would just want to remind you all that he has a sub 10% approval rating. That means you literally suck at it. Just watch.
Last week, you said that you were going to use the full force of government to stop smoking on the CTA.
We finally get people to get back on our public transportation system, and then they can't have a pleasant ride because someone wants to smoke. It's unconscionable, it's unthinkable, and I've had enough of this.
Now, the mayor's going to use what he calls the whole of government approach that he's used to tackle crime, to tackle smoking on trains. We'll see how that goes.
You said that you were going to use the full force of government to stop smoking on the CTA. Many people, hundreds of thousands of people ask me why you wouldn't use the full force of government to remove illegal aliens like Jose
Okay,
Luis
thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. We got it.
Wow. No, yeah, we got it. We got it. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. We got it. We got it. So he wants to use the full force of the law, which is a brilliant question. Wants to use the full force of the law to stop people from smoking, but don't want to use the full force of the law to get rid of illegals. Interesting.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
question. I mean, as far as the city of Chicago is concerned, our local police department does not dub as federal ICE agents. It's just that simple. The Trump administration attempted to sue the city of Chicago, a district court rebuked that suit because as a welcoming city, in order for us to continue to build a safe, affordable city, the people of Chicago have to have trust in their local law enforcement. And that trust is being built, it's being restored. And I'm going to ensure that that trust moves in a direction that allows for us to continue to have the safest, most affordable big city in America. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go to the next one.
Now, yeah, he should use the full force of the law to get rid of illegals. Now, you know that the demon rats want illegals. And I read up on the laws. You know, the Supreme Court did not give the Trump administration like a sweeping ability to remove all illegals. There's a small amount of due process involved and, you know, things of that nature. And I will go over that with you later in this video. But you see, they have the full force of the law to focus on the things that they want to focus on. But they have a bigger problem than smokers. Okay, they've got terrible crime in Chicago. They've got illegals running all over the place. Some of the illegals are committing the worst of the worst crimes. I didn't say all of them, but some of them are. And he needs to use the full weight and force of the law to take care of the things that matter most to those of Chicago. Let's just hear what this next reporter has to ask, which is a very specific question.
Also this weekend, there are going to be a couple of festivals in Chicago, including Lollapalooza. There's also still a fear in the immigrant community about possible targets for ICE raids in cultural events. And one of these festivals is Fiesta del Sol in Pilsen. Is the city ready, and especially to avoid what happened on June 4th?
We are ready. We are ready. We are a welcoming city. We're going to hold firm to our position. As I said earlier, the Trump administration attempted to sue my city. We pushed back, obviously, and we won that lawsuit. Every single thing that this administration has attempted to do to bring division and fear in our city, we continue to fight back. Now, that fear and anxiety is real. I was just with Senator Villanueva and Alderman Seixas Lopez walking the blocks in their communities, particularly after the white supremacist attack on those communities with the swastika and the hate crime, essentially, that was moved about in those neighborhoods. And I talked to some of the business owners there, and people are afraid to go out and go grocery shopping. And so right now we are planning events, public events, where we can all go out and grocery shop together and show solidarity with our immigrant community. Our immigrants play an incredible role in the soul of Chicago. And as mayor of the city of Chicago, I'm going to continue to stand firm to protect undocumented families, immigrant families, because they play a crucial role in who we are in the culture of our city.
Yeah, so Democrats are going to do everything they can to keep these illegals because according to their plan, they actually need these people for votes, congressional power, and all of the things. That's why they really are fighting. Okay, now make no mistake, the demon rest. And see, you know, I'm looking at Brandon Johnson. Let me just say this. Democrats, but anyway, Brandon Johnson, let me just say this about him. Him standing there, he doesn't look like a very confident person. He looks like when you ask him a question, like when that lady asked him a question about the music festival, he just doesn't seem like he's really there to serve the people. He is literally there just about every, let me say just about, there might be one or two demon rats somewhere that actually care about the people, which in that case would not make them a demon rat, just a politician. But you know, just about every Democrat politician is just doing their marching orders. They've been given their marching orders to go ahead and try to keep the illegals here. He's going to use the full weight of the law to keep illegals in the city of Chicago. That's what he's going to do. He says he's going to use the full weight to go after smokers. And you're also going to use the full weight of the law to not work with ICE and local authorities. No, you're going to keep these illegals as best as you can. But yes, we're going to do something about that. Something is going to be done about that. So if he wants to, you know, protect people who are illegal. We don't even know what these people are doing until they're vetted. This is the problem. And see, he said it out loud. And see, this has got to be against the law. It is against federal law. You're not complying. And yes, I'm going to read this law about the immigration law that the Supreme Court just passed recently. You guys may be familiar with it, but I want to read it to you because right now this is very disturbing. You have people that are literally trying so hard for the illegals, but not for the people who are born and raised in that city. That is disgusting to me. He's not caring about safety. He's talking about safety and a pleasant ride. How about getting these darn illegals off the street? Because they are hurting people. Ask Ivory Smith's family. All right, so here I'm getting this off of Grok. The Trump administration has received Supreme Court rulings that granted authority to pursue certain immigration policies, including deportations, but these do not provide blanket authorization to remove all illegal immigrants without limitation. So it's not just a blanket without limitation. The court's decisions have focused on specific policies and programs, often balancing executive authority with due process considerations. Here's a breakdown based on recent rulings: revocation of humanitarian parole programs. In May 2025, the Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to terminate Biden-era humanitarian parole programs affecting approximately 530,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. This ruling permitted the administration to revoke temporary legal status for these individuals, making them subject to deportation, though it did not mandate immediate removal of all. The decision was unsigned, provided no reasoning, and was a temporary order pending further litigation. Third country deportations. And I know about this. In June 2025, the Supreme Court granted the administration the ability to deport people, the illegals, to a country that is not their home country. Okay, this applied to cases like a group of migrants held in Djibouti, some of whom were convicted of serious crimes. The ruling was a temporary stay, allowing deportations to proceed while legal challenges continue, but it does not extend to all undocumented immigrants broadly. And now, of course, Chicago is facing budget problems, and there's another budget crisis that the city of Chicago is facing.
Last year, Chicago's mayor tried but failed to raise property taxes. The city's facing another key budget deadline this year.
And WGN's Christine Flores is here now with more on what Mayor Brandon Johnson may do instead.
Yeah, Ray and Micah, good evening. Now, while being specific, Mayor Brandon Johnson said he would not propose a property tax increase in his budget. During his weekly media address today, he pointed to a number of tax-the-rich options he's considering.
I'm going to go after progressive revenue. That's what the people of Chicago and working class families in particular want us to see us to do.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson reaffirmed Tuesday he's not planning to propose a tax increase in this year's budget proposal. Instead, he says he's looking for other sources of progressive revenue to address the city's $1.2 billion budget deficit.
Everything has to be on the table.
According to the mayor, that includes a tax on digital advertisements.
People have made billions of dollars from the digital industry, literally billions of dollars, and that free advertisement happens on a consistent basis. So this is something that I've been looking at and exploring since 2018.
When it comes to taxing the rich,
we are the 10th wealthiest city in the entire world. So I think it's important that we look at in a very meaningful way, how those individuals with means, particularly our billionaires and ultra rich who have benefited from a growing economy, can put more skin in the game.
This includes a corporate head tax. It's based off the number of employees, similar to the one that was in place prior to its removal by then Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and something Johnson campaigned on. This notion somehow that we're scaring millionaires away, it's just the opposite. Do you know what they talk about when they do engage with me? They talk about community safety. They don't talk about taxes. Their number one issue is community safety. And as we continue to see the trend move in the positive direction, that allows for our economy to grow. As Johnson laid out the proposals, one point he stressed was they are targeting the more than 127,000 millionaires and about 25 billionaires that live in and around the city.
There's a reason for us to be able to tap into, those individuals and entities with means so that we can continue to see the positive trend of violence going down in the city of Chicago. I believe it's to all of our benefit to ensure that we're doing everything in our power to maintain the investments that we've put forward.
Today, Johnson also pointed to ongoing investments and developments in the city and said Chicago must take bold, inclusive steps to close structural deficits. And guys, he said that'll also help reduce the poverty in the city.
All right, you heard it there. So he wants to tax the ultra wealthy, the ultra rich, and billionaires, they like their money too. They can go somewhere where they're taxed less, like Florida, Texas, or Tennessee, and that will make them leave, and that will make corporations leave and go elsewhere where they are taxed less. See, this way of doing things on the woke left is just destroying everything. We're going to see how this actually ends up working out. But the point that I want to get back to is the fact that he's doing things that are against the law. I mean, helping people who are undocumented, that are set for deportation. That is not something you're not supposed to do that. Okay, that is illegal. And that, I don't know what he would actually end up, I don't know if he'll actually end up in prison or anything like that, but he needs to be. Okay, he needs to be, because there are so many illegals. A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are violent and they're causing chaos. And for him to sit up there and say the rich people are more concerned about safety, well, safety would mean you get these illegals out of here, the ones that are committing the heinous crimes. And sometimes these district judges were protecting those horrible, violent criminals. There was a case, I think it was in Wisconsin, where a judge was sneaking the illegals in their home. And that is just crazy. These people on the woke left, you deal with woke, you go broke. You see that Chicago is in a $1.2 billion deficit. What is he going to do about that? He said, tax the wealthy, which is going to make them leave. And you took the corporate tax, it's going to make corporations leave. That's falling right in line with the communist playbook. That's what Mamdani, who's the Democrat nominee for mayor in New York City, wants to do. The left, the demon rats, literally ruin everything. You guys give me your comment below about all of this. Tell me what you think is going to happen with this sub 10% approval rating. Mayor out of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, select all notifications. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America, and march on, warriors.